Ambassador Zethkri's 6 arms trembled as she reviewed the latest intelligence reports from the Sol system. The crystalline being had served the Galactic Council for over 3 centuries, witnessing the rise and fall of dozens of civilizations. Never had she encountered anything quite like humanity. The massive council chamber buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 47 different species gathered for the emergency session. Holographic displays showed the stark reality that had shaken the galaxy's most powerful organization to its core. Earth's response to their diplomatic overture had been unprecedented in galactic history. Council members, Zethkri's voice resonated through the chamber's translation matrix, reaching each being in their native language. We convened this emergency session because humanity has done the unthinkable. They have rejected our offer of peaceful integration into the Galactic Council. A ripple of shocked murmurs spread through the assembly. The Vorthan representative, a massive creature resembling a walking tree, creaked ominously. Impossible. Every species accepts council membership. The benefits are obvious. Not only did they reject membership, Zethkri continued, her voice growing more strained, but they have declared war on the entire Galactic Council. All 47 member species. They chose annihilation over diplomacy. The chamber erupted into chaos. Species that had maintained peaceful coexistence for millennia suddenly found themselves facing an impossible scenario. How could a single planet, barely past their nuclear age, challenge an organization that spanned thousands of star systems? High Counselor Meftar, ancient leader of the gas-dwelling Aryans, floated forward. His form shimmered like contained lightning as he spoke. This is madness. Surely there's been some communication error. No species chooses extinction over integration. Zethkri activated the central holographic display, showing Earth's transmission in full. The image materialized of a human woman standing behind a podium, flanked by flags from various Earth nations. General Sarah Chen, as the humans called her, appeared remarkably calm for someone declaring war on galactic civilization. People of Earth, the recording began. Today marks the end of humanity's isolation and the beginning of our greatest challenge. The Galactic Council has offered us membership in their organization, promising peace, prosperity, and technological advancement. The human paused, her dark eyes showing no fear. However, we have learned the true cost of this membership. Complete submission to Council authority. Abandonment of our sovereignty. The end of human independence. They offer us the choice between compliance and annihilation. General Chen stepped closer to the recording device. Humanity chooses annihilation. We will not kneel. We will not submit. If the galaxy demands our destruction for refusing to bow, then let them come. We will show them what happens when you corner a species that refuses to break. The recording ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Zethkri's crystalline form flickered with agitation. This transmission was broadcast throughout human space. Their entire species has united behind this decision. Counselor Vrexanael, representing the militaristic Krillian Empire, slammed his armored fist against his podium. One primitive world dares threaten the combined might of 47 star-spanning civilizations? This insult cannot stand. It's not just an insult, whispered Ythera, a hive-mind representative whose collective consciousness spans 17 worlds. It's impossible. Our behavioral prediction models show that intelligent species always choose survival over destruction. Humans are exhibiting patterns we've never encountered. The truth was more disturbing than any council member wanted to admit. Their intelligence networks had been monitoring humanity for decades, preparing for first contact. Every model, every simulation, every psychological profile indicated that humans would eagerly accept council membership. The species showed obvious signs of cooperation, forming global alliances and international organizations despite their aggressive tendencies. Zethkri had personally overseen the preparation of their standard integration package. Technological gifts that would advance human civilization by centuries. Medical knowledge that would eliminate disease and extend lifespans. Energy systems that would end resource scarcity. Educational exchanges that would expand human understanding of the universe. All of it rejected in favor of certain destruction. Perhaps, suggested Quintal, the ethereal representative of the energy-based Luminari, we underestimated their attachment to independence. Some species require more delicate handling during integration. Delicate handling? Vrexanael's scarred face twisted in disgust. They declared war on us. This cannot be resolved through negotiation. High Counselor Meftar's form pulsed thoughtfully. What do we know about human military capabilities? Surely they cannot pose a genuine threat to our combined forces. Military Advisor Kathron, a cybernetic hybrid from the machine world of Nexus Prime, activated his tactical displays. Human technology remains primitive by our standards. They've achieved basic interplanetary travel but lack faster-than-light capabilities. Their weapons are primarily chemical explosives and nuclear devices. They possess no energy shields, no antimatter weaponry, no quantum disruptors. The advisor's optical sensors whirred as he processed additional data. However, our behavioral analysis units have identified concerning patterns. Humans demonstrate exceptional adaptability under pressure. Their history shows rapid technological advancement during periods of conflict. They've survived multiple extinction-level events and consistently exceeded survival predictions. Irrelevant, Vrex NAL declared. Technology trumps determination. We possess weapons that can sterilize worlds from light years away. Their entire solar system could be eliminated without risking a single council vessel. Zethkri studied the tactical readouts with growing unease. Something felt wrong about this entire situation. Her species had evolved complex pattern recognition abilities, and every instinct screamed that they were missing crucial information. What about their psychological evaluation? She asked. The Council's chief xenopsychologist, Dr. Yuvantar, materialized as a shimmering hologram. The ethereal being rarely attended physical sessions, preferring to observe from her research station in the void between galaxies. Human psychology presents unique challenges, Dr. Yuvantar explained, her voice like harmonizing crystals. They demonstrate paradoxical behavior patterns. Intensely social yet fiercely independent. Capable of extreme cooperation and devastating warfare simultaneously. They form deep emotional bonds but will sacrifice everything for abstract concepts like freedom. She paused, her form flickering with uncertainty. Most disturbing is their relationship with death. While they fear mortality like most organic species, they've developed cultural mechanisms that allow them to embrace certain death for symbolic victories. They call it dying for something greater than yourself. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Every known species valued survival above all else. Even the most warlike races would negotiate rather than face certain extinction. But humans seem to operate under entirely different psychological rules. Recommendation? High Counselor Meftar asked quietly. Military Advisor Kathron's sensors flickered rapidly. Standard protocol suggests a demonstration of overwhelming force. Destroy one of their outer colonies to show them the futility of resistance. Most species surrender immediately after witnessing Council military capabilities. But humans aren't most species, Dr. Yuvantar interrupted. Demonstration attacks might trigger what they call berserker rage. Instead of surrendering, they could become exponentially more dangerous. Zethkri felt the weight of decision pressing upon her. As primary ambassador, the choice of how to proceed ultimately rested with her recommendation. She had successfully negotiated peaceful integration for over 200 species. None had ever rejected the Council's offer. Show me their military preparations, she commanded. The holographic display shifted to show intelligence footage from throughout human space. What they saw defied all expectations. Instead of panicking or attempting to flee their solar system, humans were mobilizing with terrifying efficiency. Every space-capable vessel, from massive military cruisers to tiny mining ships, had been retrofitted for combat. Their orbital stations bristled with newly installed weapons. Most shocking of all, they had begun converting civilian infrastructure for military production at a rate that seemed physically impossible. How are they accomplishing this? Counselor Vrex NAL demanded. Unknown, Kathron replied. Our models predicted months of preparation time. They've achieved total military mobilization in 72 hours. They're treating this like they've been planning for galactic war their entire existence. The truth was even more unsettling. Humans had been planning for exactly this scenario. Not because they knew about the Galactic Council, but because they had spent centuries preparing for any threat that might emerge from the void between stars. Their fiction, their military doctrine, their entire cultural mindset had been shaped by the assumption that first contact might be hostile. While other species had developed technologies for peace and exploration, humans had simultaneously developed technologies for war and survival. They possessed no faster-than-light travel, but they had created weapons designed to function in any environment. They couldn't project power across star systems, but they had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. There's something else, Dr. Yuvantar added quietly. Their communications networks are broadcasting something we've never encountered before. They're not just preparing to die. They're preparing to be remembered. She activated another display showing human broadcasts throughout their space. Citizens recording final messages. Scientists uploading research data to deep space probes. Artists creating works specifically designed to survive galactic bombardment. They're building what they call a legacy package, Dr. Yuvantar explained. If they're going to be destroyed, they intend to ensure that future galactic civilizations will know exactly who humanity was and why they chose to fight. The implications were staggering. Humans weren't just rejecting Council authority, they were challenging the fundamental assumptions upon which galactic civilization was built. They were proving that a species might choose death over submission, that some beings would rather be extinct than controlled. High Counselor Meftar's form dimmed with concern. If other species learn that resistance is possible, if they see that a civilization can choose death over integration, the entire council structure could collapse, Zethkri finished. We rule through the assumption that all intelligent life values survival above independence. If that assumption proves false, the chamber erupted again as representatives began calculating the implications for their own worlds. How many species had joined the council reluctantly? How many maintained hidden resentments about lost sovereignty? If humanity successfully demonstrated that resistance was possible, even if it ended in extinction, it might inspire others to reconsider their allegiance. For the first time in galactic history, the Galactic Council faced a threat not to their military supremacy, but to the very ideology that held their civilization together. And that threat came from a single world whose greatest achievement was barely reaching their own moon. As the session continued into the night cycle, one fact became increasingly clear. This conflict would not be resolved through standard protocols. Humanity had fundamentally changed the rules of galactic politics by refusing to play by them at all. The question now was whether the Council could afford to let them live long enough to inspire others, or whether humanity's extinction would send an even more dangerous message to the galaxy's oppressed populations. Either way, Ambassador Zethkri realized that the galaxy she had known for 3 centuries was about to change forever. And it was all because one species had looked at overwhelming odds and said a single, terrifying word. No. Admiral Marcus Rivera stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching holographic displays track incoming Council fleets. 3 days had passed since humanity declared war on galactic civilization, and the enemy response exceeded every pessimistic prediction. 47 different species had committed military forces to what they called the human problem. Sir, Communications Officer Janet Walsh reported, we're detecting massive fleet movements throughout local space. Council forces are establishing a perimeter around our solar system. Rivera studied the tactical displays with grim satisfaction. The aliens had taken humanity's bait perfectly. Instead of simply sterilizing Earth from a safe distance, they were bringing their fleets within range of humanity's prepared defenses. Pride, it seemed, was a universal trait among intelligent species. How many ships? Rivera asked. Current count shows over 15,000 vessels across all size classifications, Walsh replied. Everything from single pilot scouts to city-sized dreadnoughts. They're not taking any chances. Rivera nodded. The numbers were terrifying, but they confirmed humanity's strategic assessment. The Galactic Council ruled through overwhelming technological superiority, not tactical innovation. They expected their mere presence to cow any opposition into submission. They had never faced an opponent that spent centuries preparing for exactly this scenario. Status report from all defensive positions, Rivera commanded. The holographic display shifted to show the solar system's transformed landscape. What aliens saw as primitive human space was actually the most heavily fortified region in known history. Every asteroid had been hollowed out and converted into a weapons platform. The moon bristled with railguns and missile batteries. Mars hosted manufacturing facilities working around the clock to produce war materials. Most importantly, Earth's orbital ring now contained humanity's greatest secret. The aliens knew humans lacked faster-than-light travel, but they didn't know why. Humanity had discovered FTL technology decades ago. They simply chose not to use it for exploration. Instead, they weaponized it. Commander Sarah Kim's voice crackled through the communications array from Titan Base. All outer system defenses report ready status. Stealth mines are deployed throughout the asteroid belt. Long-range missile platforms are locked and loaded. Excellent, Rivera replied. Remember, we need to draw them deeper into the system before revealing our capabilities. Let them think they're facing desperate primitives until it's too late to retreat. The strategy was simple in concept, devastating in execution. Humanity would appear to fight desperately with conventional weapons, gradually falling back toward Earth. The aliens would grow confident, pushing their fleets closer to deliver a final blow. Only then would they discover what humans had really been building for the past 50 years. Dr. Elena Vasquez materialized beside Rivera as a hologram, broadcasting from the secret research facility beneath Geneva. Admiral, the Prometheus project is ready for final activation. We're tracking Council fleet positions and calculating optimal deployment scenarios. Rivera felt a chill despite the command center's controlled temperature. The Prometheus project represented humanity's darkest innovation. If conventional warfare failed, they possessed one final option that would ensure the aliens remembered this encounter for millennia. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Dr. Rivera said quietly. Hope is a luxury we can't afford, Vasquez replied. The psychological profiles suggest these aliens have never faced true desperation. They've conquered through technological superiority and diplomatic pressure. They don't understand what cornered humans can accomplish. The truth was more complex than even most humans realized. Earth's governments had been preparing for hostile first contact since the early 21st century. Every advancement in space technology, every military innovation, every strategic doctrine had been developed with one assumption, that humanity might someday face extinction at the hands of superior alien forces. They had studied their own history and drawn uncomfortable conclusions. Every human civilization that survived did so by being more ruthless than their enemies when survival was at stake. The aliens were about to receive an education in human brutality that their peaceful galaxy was completely unprepared for. Admiral, Sensor Specialist Luchan called from his station, were receiving a transmission from the Council flagship. They're requesting a final communication before hostilities begin. Rivera smiled grimly. Even now, the aliens couldn't quite believe that diplomacy had failed. Put them through. The main display activated, showing Ambassador Zethkri's crystalline form surrounded by various alien species. Rivera recognized the classic intimidation setup. Representatives from the galaxy's most powerful military forces, all trying to overwhelm humanity with their combined presence. Admiral Rivera, Zethkri began, her translated voice carrying undertones of desperation. I speak for the Galactic Council in making one final offer. Surrender now, and your species will be granted limited autonomy within Council space. Continue this madness, and Earth will be reduced to cosmic dust. Rivera studied the alien faces surrounding the ambassador. Fear. That was the emotion he saw in most of them. They were terrified not of losing this battle, but of what humanity's resistance represented. The collapse of their entire worldview. Ambassador, Rivera replied calmly, humanity appreciates your final offer. Our response remains unchanged. We will not submit. We will not kneel. We will not surrender our freedom for the promise of safety. He stepped closer to the camera, making sure his words reached every alien ship in the fleet. But, I want to make something clear to your forces. We didn't choose this fight because we think we can win. We chose it because some things are more important than survival. Your civilization has forgotten that lesson. Today, we're going to remind you. Zethkri's crystalline form flickered with agitation. You're condemning your entire species to extinction for abstract concepts. This is madness. No, Rivera said quietly, this is humanity. He cut the transmission and turned to his command staff. All positions, prepare for combat operations. The aliens have had their chance to leave peacefully. Throughout the solar system, human forces began final preparations for what military historians would later call the most desperate last stand in galactic history. But, humanity had always performed best when facing impossible odds. The first wave of Council ships entered the outer solar system with confidence born of countless easy victories. They expected to face primitive chemical rockets and basic nuclear weapons. Instead, they encountered humanity's first surprise. Enemy contacts entering the Kuiper Belt, reported Sensor Chief Morrison. They're moving in standard formation, capital ships leading with escorts in defensive positions. Activate the Outriders, Rivera commanded. Hidden throughout the outer system, thousands of stealth platforms came online simultaneously. Human engineers had solved faster-than-light travel by creating small, unmanned vehicles capable of micro-jumps. Instead of using this technology for exploration, they had built an army of invisible assassins. The first Council ships to die never saw their attackers. Stealth fighters materialized from empty space, delivered devastating strikes with weapons designed specifically to counter alien shield technology, then vanished before return fire could lock onto their positions. Admiral Cathron, commanding the Council fleet from his massive dreadnought Eternal Dominion, watched his tactical displays with growing alarm. How are they achieving faster-than-light travel with such primitive technology? Unknown, his tactical officer replied. These vessels appear purpose-built for hit-and-run attacks. They're using some form of short-range spacefolding that our sensors can barely detect. The alien commander's optical sensors whirred frantically as he processed the implications. They've had FTL capability and chosen not to use it for exploration? What kind of species develops interstellar technology solely for warfare? The answer was becoming horrifyingly clear. Humans had approached technological development with the assumption that every advancement might be needed for survival. While other species used FTL for trade and diplomacy, humans had weaponized it for asymmetric warfare. Sir, the communications officer reported, we're receiving distress calls from the outer perimeter. They're requesting permission to withdraw and regroup. Cathron considered the request carefully. Tactical doctrine suggested an organized withdrawal to analyze enemy capabilities. But political pressure from the Council demanded a swift resolution to the human problem. Any sign of weakness might encourage other species to question Council authority. Negative, he responded. All ships will advance as planned. These humans are clever, but they cannot possess the industrial capacity to sustain such attacks. We will overwhelm them through sheer numbers. It was exactly the response humanity had predicted. Alien commanders, accustomed to facing technologically inferior opponents, assumed that initial setbacks were merely temporary inconveniences. They had never fought an enemy that treated warfare as a science rather than a tool of intimidation. The second phase of the battle began as Council forces pushed deeper into the solar system. They encountered increasingly sophisticated defenses as they approached the asteroid belt. What appeared to be lifeless rocks suddenly revealed themselves as camouflaged weapons platforms, pouring devastating fire into alien formations. Impossible, Cathron muttered as his fleet took heavy casualties from enemies that should have been centuries behind them technologically. How are they penetrating our shield systems? His tactical officer studied the data streams from damaged vessels. Admiral, they appear to have developed weapons specifically designed to counter our defensive technologies. These aren't modified versions of their existing weapons. These are entirely new systems built from the ground up to fight us. The truth was even more disturbing than the alien commander realized. Humanity had spent decades analyzing captured alien technology from crashed scout ships and monitoring Council communications. They knew exactly what defensive systems to expect and had designed weapons to counter every known alien defense. While the Council assumed they were fighting primitives with advanced weapons, they were actually facing an enemy that understood their technology better than they did themselves. Humans had reverse-engineered alien systems, identified their weaknesses, and built an entire military doctrine around exploiting those flaws. Dr. Chenwei's voice echoed through Luna Base's command center from his position at the weapons research facility on Ceres. Admiral, the aliens are reacting exactly as predicted. They're pushing forward despite heavy casualties, assuming they can overwhelm our defenses through numerical superiority. Excellent, Rivera replied. Phase 3 is authorized. Begin falling back toward the inner system. Make it look like we're being forced to retreat. Human forces throughout the outer solar system began what appeared to be a desperate fighting withdrawal. Stealth fighters fell back toward Mars, abandoning their forward positions. Asteroid bases went silent as if overwhelmed by alien firepower. Every indicator suggested that humanity's initial defenses were collapsing under the weight of the Council assault. The aliens pressed their advantage, confident that victory was within reach. They had lost more ships than expected, but their overwhelming numerical superiority was beginning to tell. The primitive humans were finally showing the effects of facing true galactic military power. Admiral Cathron studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. Human resistance is breaking down. Their outer defenses were impressive, but they lacked the industrial base to sustain such losses. We'll have Earth under our guns within 6 standard time units. He activated fleet-wide communications. All ships, prepare for final assault on the human homeworld. We will end this rebellion swiftly and demonstrate to the galaxy what happens when species refuse Council authority. But, as the alien fleet pushed deeper toward Earth, they failed to notice the subtle changes in their environment. The debris fields they passed through weren't random wreckage from destroyed human vessels. The electromagnetic interference disrupting their long-range communications wasn't natural stellar phenomena. Humanity was herding them into a carefully prepared kill zone. Admiral Rivera watched the alien advance with cold satisfaction. Everything was proceeding according to plan. In a few hours, the Council fleet would learn why humans had chosen annihilation over submission. They were about to discover that sometimes, the cornered animal was more dangerous than the hunter. The Council fleet reached Mars orbit with what Admiral Cathron believed was inevitable momentum. His forces had pushed through the asteroid belt, overwhelmed the outer system defenses, and were now within striking distance of the human homeworld. Despite heavier than expected casualties, victory seemed assured. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, human resistance in this sector appears to have collapsed. We're detecting minimal defensive emissions from the 4th planet. Their industrial facilities appear to be shutting down. Cathron studied the tactical displays with professional satisfaction. The red planet had been transformed into a massive manufacturing center, with clear signs of recent frantic activity. Now those facilities were going dark, suggesting either evacuation or surrender. Excellent. Maintain formation and advance toward Earth. We'll demonstrate Council resolve by broadcasting the planet's destruction throughout human space. But something felt wrong. In centuries of military service, Cathron had developed instincts about enemy behavior. Desperate defenders fought to the last breath. They didn't simply abandon crucial industrial centers without a fight. The humans were too organized, too disciplined to simply collapse when faced with overwhelming odds. His concerns deepened when long-range sensors detected something impossible. The human homeworld wasn't showing signs of panic or evacuation. Instead, Earth's orbital infrastructure had somehow expanded dramatically during the battle. The planet was surrounded by a ring of structures that hadn't existed when the assault began. Tactical officer, explain those readings from Earth orbit, Cathron demanded. The young alien's mandibles clicked nervously as he processed sensor data. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures surrounding the human homeworld. The orbital ring appears to be some kind of weapons platform, but the power readings are beyond our current understanding. Impossible. Our intelligence indicated that humans barely achieved basic spaceflight. They cannot possess energy generation capabilities exceeding Council technology. The truth was far more disturbing. Humanity hadn't just been preparing for war, they had been preparing for a specific type of war. Every aspect of their strategy was designed to lure an overwhelming alien force into close range, then demonstrate why humans were the galaxy's most dangerous species. On Earth, Admiral Rivera stood in the primary command bunker buried beneath the Swiss Alps. Around him, humanity's greatest minds monitored the approaching alien fleet with cold calculation. They had sacrificed thousands of lives and countless resources to bring the enemy into the perfect position. Admiral, reported Dr. Sarah Kim from her station monitoring orbital platforms, all ring stations report ready status. We have clear targeting solutions on the entire enemy fleet. Rivera nodded grimly. The orbital ring represented 50 years of secret human engineering, disguised as civilian infrastructure until the final moment. What aliens had dismissed as primitive space stations were actually the most advanced weapons platforms ever constructed. Dr. Vasquez, Rivera called to the scientist monitoring humanity's final contingency status on the Prometheus project. Elena Vasquez's voice carried through the command center from her position at the Geneva facility. All systems nominal, Admiral. If the ring platforms fail to achieve complete enemy destruction, we're prepared to implement final protocols. Rivera hoped it wouldn't come to that. The Prometheus project was humanity's last resort, designed to ensure that even if Earth fell, the galaxy would never forget this encounter. It was a weapon that would change the fundamental nature of galactic civilization. "Sir," Communications Officer Walsh interrupted, "we're receiving another transmission from the alien flagship. Ambassador Zethkri wants to discuss surrender terms." Rivera smiled grimly. The aliens still believed they held the advantage. "Put her through." Ambassador Zethkri's crystalline form appeared on the main display, surrounded by what appeared to be the entire council leadership. Her 6 arms gestured frantically as she spoke. "Admiral Rivera, your outer defenses have fallen. Mars has been neutralized. Our fleet now stands at Earth's doorstep with overwhelming firepower. Surely you can see that continued resistance is futile. I offer you one final opportunity to surrender with honor." Rivera studied the alien faces surrounding the ambassador. Fear had been replaced by confidence. They truly believed they had won. Time to educate them about human nature. "Ambassador," Rivera replied calmly, "I want to thank you and the entire council for this opportunity." Zethkri's form flickered with confusion. "Opportunity? You've given humanity exactly what we needed most. A chance to demonstrate our commitment to freedom for the entire galaxy to witness. You've brought your finest military assets into range of Earth's defenses. Most importantly, you've proven that the Galactic Council rules through intimidation rather than genuine superiority." Rivera stepped closer to the camera, ensuring his next words reached every alien ship in the fleet. "For 50 years, humanity has prepared for this moment. We've studied your technology, analyzed your tactics, and designed weapons specifically to counter your advantages. You assumed we were primitive because we lacked faster-than-light exploration. You never considered that we might have used that technology for other purposes." The transmission cut to orbital cameras showing Earth's ring stations fully activating for the first time. What had appeared to be basic industrial platforms suddenly revealed themselves as massive weapons arrays, their surfaces bristling with energy projectors and missile systems. "Impossible," Admiral Cathron breathed as his sensors registered power levels that shouldn't exist. "How did they hide this from our intelligence networks?" His tactical officer's voice cracked with panic. "Admiral, those aren't conventional weapons. We're detecting spatial distortion signatures. They appear to have weaponized their faster-than-light technology." The alien commander's worst fears were confirmed as Earth's orbital ring opened fire. Instead of energy beams or projectiles, the human weapons created localized spacetime distortions that bypassed every known defensive system. Council ships simply ceased to exist as sections of spacetime folded around them, crushing matter at the molecular level. Admiral Rivera watched the tactical display with professional satisfaction as entire wings of alien vessels vanished from existence. 50 years of human engineering had produced weapons that operated on principles the Council couldn't comprehend, much less defend against. "Sir," reported Sensor Chief Morrison, "enemy fleet cohesion is breaking down. They're attempting to withdraw beyond our engagement range." "Negative," Rivera replied coldly. "Activate the gravity wells. No alien ship leaves this system alive." Hidden throughout the inner solar system, humanity's second surprise came online. Massive generators that had been disguised as asteroid mining operations suddenly created artificial gravity fields, trapping the alien fleet within range of Earth's weapons. The same faster-than-light technology that powered humanity's spacefolding weapons now prevented any enemy escape. Admiral Cathron stared at his displays in horror as his fleet found itself caught in an impossible trap. His ships couldn't retreat, their weapons couldn't penetrate human defenses, and the enemy possessed firepower that operated beyond the known laws of physics. "All ships," he broadcast desperately, "emergency protocols. Prepare for ramming attacks on the human homeworld. If we must die, we'll take their planet with us." It was exactly the response humanity had predicted. Alien commanders, faced with impossible defeat, would attempt to salvage something from the disaster through suicidal attacks. They had never faced an enemy that had planned for even that contingency. Dr. Kim's voice echoed through the command center as she monitored the alien desperation attacks. "Admiral, enemy vessels are breaking formation for individual strikes on Earth. Defensive protocols are engaging automatically." The final phase of humanity's prepared defense activated as alien ships attempted suicide runs on the homeworld. Automated systems that had been built into every piece of space infrastructure came online, creating an impenetrable wall of overlapping fire zones. Ships that had survived humanity's spatial weapons found themselves facing conventional firepower on a scale that defied comprehension. How? Ambassador Zethkri's voice reached Rivera through the chaos of dying ships. How did you accomplish this? Our technology should be centuries ahead of yours. Rivera studied the alien's terrified face with cold satisfaction. You made the same mistake every galactic empire makes, Ambassador. You assumed that technological advancement follows a single path. You developed technology for exploration, trade, and peaceful expansion. We developed technology for survival. He paused, ensuring his next words would be recorded for galactic history. You spent centuries building a civilization based on the assumption that all intelligent life values survival above freedom. Today, humanity proves that assumption false. We didn't just reject your authority, we prepared to destroy it. The tactical display showed the systematic annihilation of the Council fleet. 47 species had contributed their finest military assets to crush human resistance. All of those ships were now drifting wreckage, their crews either dead or desperately trying to survive in spacesuits as their vessels disintegrated around them. Sir, Communications Officer Walsh reported, we're receiving surrender requests from surviving alien vessels. They're offering to negotiate immediate withdrawal if we allow their remaining forces to escape. Rivera considered the request carefully. Humanity had achieved the impossible, destroying a galactic fleet with minimal losses. They had proven that Council authority could be challenged successfully. But the real test was yet to come. Denied, he replied finally. No alien ship leaves this system. The galaxy needs to understand that threatening humanity has consequences. Dr. Vasquez's voice crackled through the command center from the Geneva facility. Admiral, are you certain about this course of action? Complete annihilation of the Council fleet will send a very specific message to the galaxy. Rivera nodded grimly. That's exactly the message we want to send, Doctor. For too long, the galaxy has operated under the assumption that resistance is futile. Today, we prove that some things are worth dying for, and some enemies are too dangerous to leave alive. The final alien ships died under concentrated fire from Earth's orbital platforms. In less than 6 hours, humanity had achieved what galactic civilization considered impossible. A single species had faced the combined might of 47 star-spanning civilizations and emerged victorious. But, as Admiral Rivera watched the last alien vessel disintegrate, he knew the real war was just beginning. The galaxy would not ignore this demonstration of human capabilities. Every species in Council space would now face a choice between continued submission and open rebellion. Ambassador Zethkri's final transmission reached Earth as her flagship broke apart around her. Admiral Rivera, you've doomed the galaxy to chaos. The Council maintained peace for thousands of years. What will replace it? Rivera's response would echo through galactic history for millennia. Something better, Ambassador. Something that recognizes that freedom is more important than peace, and that some species refuse to kneel. The transmission ended as Earth's weapons reduced the last Council ship to cosmic dust. Humanity had chosen annihilation over submission and emerged victorious. Now they would discover whether the galaxy was ready to learn what that victory truly meant. The age of Council dominance was ending. The age of human defiance had begun. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, as galactic historians would later name it, the galaxy had transformed into something unrecognizable. Admiral Rivera stood in the rebuilt command center of Luna Base, monitoring communications from across known space. The reports painted a picture of civilization in chaos. Admiral, Communications Officer Walsh announced, we're receiving another delegation request from the Andromedan Collective. They're offering a formal alliance against remaining Council forces. Rivera studied the holographic star map showing the current state of galactic politics. Red zones indicated systems in open rebellion against Council authority. Yellow zones showed governments attempting neutrality. Green zones represented the few remaining systems still loyal to the old order. The map was mostly red. That makes 43 species requesting formal relations with Earth, Rivera noted. How many Council loyalists remain? Strategic analyst Dr. Chenwei materialized as a hologram from his research station on Mars. Current intelligence suggests only 11 species maintain loyalty to the original Council structure. Most are isolated systems dependent on Council technology for basic survival. The aftermath of humanity's victory had exceeded every prediction. Instead of the galaxy uniting against the human threat, species after species had declared independence from Council authority. The demonstration that resistance was possible had ignited rebellions throughout known space. Status report on the Liberation fleets, Rivera commanded. Dr. Sarah Kim's voice reached the command center from her position aboard the flagship Indomitable, humanity's first faster-than-light exploration vessel. Admiral, Liberation Fleet Bravo has successfully liberated the Kepler sector. Local species have established a defensive alliance and are requesting human technological assistance. Rivera smiled grimly. The irony wasn't lost on him. Humanity had rejected galactic civilization to preserve their independence, only to become the leaders of a new kind of galactic order. But, this time, membership was voluntary and based on mutual defense rather than submission. "What's the status of former Council leadership?" he asked. Intelligence Director Janet Morrison activated classified reports from deep space reconnaissance missions. Most Council representatives have fled to the galactic core, attempting to establish a new power base among species that haven't yet learned about human capabilities. However, we're detecting signs that even those systems are beginning to question Council authority. The truth was more complex than simple rebellion. Humanity's victory had proven that the Council's technological superiority was an illusion. Their weapons and defenses had been developed for intimidation rather than actual warfare. When faced with an enemy that understood their technology and had prepared specifically to counter it, they had proven surprisingly vulnerable. Dr. Elena Vasquez's voice reached the command center from the Geneva Research Facility. "Admiral, the Prometheus Project data analysis is complete. We now have detailed intelligence on Council technology and infrastructure throughout the galaxy. More importantly, we've identified the fundamental weakness in their civilization." Rivera activated the secure communication channel. "Explain, Doctor." The Council based their entire civilization on the assumption that technological superiority ensures political dominance. They never developed actual military doctrine because they never expected to face serious resistance. Their weapons are impressive but impractical. Their defenses are designed to impress rather than protect. Vasquez paused, consulting her research data. Most significantly, they become dependent on their own technology in ways that make them vulnerable to disruption. Their entire infrastructure can be crippled by targeting specific nodes that they've never bothered to protect. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just defeated a galactic empire, they had exposed the fundamental flaws in galactic civilization itself. The Council had ruled through the illusion of invincibility, and that illusion was now shattered forever. "Sir," sensor specialist Luchan called from his monitoring station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from deep space. Unknown vessel approaching the outer solar system." Rivera frowned. 6 months after their victory, humanity maintained the most sophisticated sensor network in known space. Nothing should be able to approach Sol without detection hours earlier. "Ship classification?" he asked. "Unknown, Admiral. The vessel doesn't match any known Council design, and it's using a form of faster-than-light travel we haven't encountered before." Rivera felt a familiar chill. Humanity had proven they could defeat the known galaxy, but there were always unknown threats beyond the edges of explored space. Battle stations. All defensive systems online. Throughout the solar system, humanity's expanded defenses came alive. 6 months of continuous construction had transformed Sol into the most heavily fortified system in galactic history. But, as the unknown vessel approached, it became clear that this encounter would be different from the Council attack. "Admiral," Communications Officer Walsh reported, "the unknown vessel is transmitting a communication request. They're using standard galactic protocols, but the language is strange." Rivera nodded. "Put them through." The main display activated, showing a being unlike anything in Council records. Tall, ethereal, with features that seemed to shift between states of existence. When it spoke, the translation matrix struggled to process concepts that had no equivalent in known languages. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the being said, its voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate through dimensions. "I am Karakthar, speaker for the Ascended Conclave. We have observed your recent demonstration with great interest." Rivera studied the alien carefully. Everything about this being suggested technological capabilities far beyond anything the Council possessed. "Speaker Karakthar, you're approaching a hostile system. State your intentions." The being's form flickered with what might have been amusement. Hostile? Admiral Rivera, we have been monitoring galactic civilization for millennia. The Council was never a threat to us. You, however, represent something far more interesting. The alien paused, its shifting features focusing intently on the human commander. You are the first species in recorded history to choose extinction over submission when facing overwhelming odds. More significantly, you prepared for that choice. Your entire civilization was designed around the possibility of ultimate resistance. Rivera felt the weight of cosmic attention. This wasn't another conquest attempt. It was an evaluation. What does your conclave want from humanity? Want? Karakthar's form rippled with complex emotions. Admiral, we represent civilizations that transcended physical existence eons ago. We want nothing from you. We offer something to you. The alien gestured, and the display shifted to show star maps extending far beyond known galactic borders. Thousands of civilizations, most existing in forms that defied human understanding. The galaxy you know is a small corner of a vast universe filled with intelligences beyond current comprehension. The Council represented one approach to galactic organization. We represent others. But, you, humans, represent something we have never encountered. Rivera studied the cosmic map with growing understanding. We're being recruited. Evaluated, Karakthar corrected. The universe operates on principles your species instinctively understands. Strength, independence, the willingness to sacrifice everything for freedom. These are not common traits among galactic civilizations. The being's form solidified, becoming more recognizably humanoid. Most species choose survival over principle. They adapt to circumstances rather than change them. You chose to change the fundamental nature of galactic civilization rather than submit to it. Dr. Vasquez's voice crackled through the communication system from Geneva. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. This vessel isn't alone. Rivera nodded, unsurprised. Beings with technology this advanced wouldn't travel without adequate protection. How many ships, Doctor? Unknown, Admiral. We're detecting spatial distortions that suggest thousands of vessels, but they exist partially outside normal spacetime. This is technology we can't begin to understand. Karakthar's form flickered with approval. Excellent. Your species maintains appropriate caution even when faced with incomprehensible superiority. This confirms our preliminary assessment. The alien continued. Admiral Rivera, the Ascended Conclave extends an invitation to humanity. Not membership, not submission, but partnership. You have proven that your species possesses something rare in the universe, the ability to face impossible odds and emerge victorious through pure determination. Rivera considered the offer carefully. After defeating the Council, humanity had assumed they would face the galaxy alone. The idea of cosmic allies was appealing, but also dangerous. What would this partnership involve? Freedom, Karakthar replied simply. The universe contains threats that make your recent Council conflict appear trivial. Entities that consume entire galaxies, beings that exist to eliminate other forms of consciousness, forces that view biological life as an infection to be cured. The alien's form darkened with ancient memories. The Ascended Conclave maintains watch against such threats, but we have transcended physical existence. We need allies who can act in the material universe when action is required. Rivera understood the implications immediately. You want us to be your enforcers. We want you to be yourselves, Karakthar corrected. The universe needs beings willing to fight impossible odds to preserve freedom and consciousness. Your recent demonstration proves that humanity possesses those qualities in abundance. The alien paused, studying human reactions carefully. The choice is yours, Admiral. You can remain in this region of space, ruling over the civilizations you've liberated from Council control. Or you can join us in protecting consciousness itself from threats beyond current imagination. Rivera looked around the command center at his officers. Each face showed the same expression of determined acceptance that had carried humanity through its darkest hour. They had chosen annihilation over submission once before. Now they faced a choice between comfortable dominance and cosmic responsibility. What guarantees do we have that this partnership won't become another form of control? Rivera asked. Karakthar's form brightened with approval. The same guarantee you gave the Council, Admiral. The willingness to choose extinction over slavery. Any being capable of destroying a galactic empire to preserve freedom is not easily controlled. The alien gestured, and the display showed images of cosmic conflicts beyond human comprehension. Battles fought across dimensions, civilizations that span multiple galaxies, entities that existed as pure energy or living mathematics. This is the universe that exists beyond your current awareness. Forces that make the Council appear primitive. Threats that view the destruction of entire species as casual exercises. You can face these challenges as partners with the Conclave, or you can face them alone when they inevitably reach this region of space. Rivera studied the cosmic battlefield images with professional interest. Despite the incomprehensible scale, the fundamental nature of the conflict seemed familiar. Beings fighting for survival, freedom, and the right to exist according to their own principles. If we accept this partnership, Rivera asked, what happens to the civilizations we've already liberated from Council control? They continue to govern themselves, Karekthar replied. Your victory created a new model for galactic civilization based on voluntary cooperation rather than forced submission. That model will spread throughout the universe as other regions learn about your demonstration. The alien's form stabilized, conveying absolute sincerity. Admiral Rivera, the Conclave offers humanity something unprecedented, the chance to shape the fundamental nature of cosmic civilization. Not through conquest or control, but through example. Rivera looked around the command center one final time. His officers waited for his decision, but he already knew what they would choose. Humanity had rejected comfortable slavery in favor of desperate freedom. Now they faced a choice between comfortable dominance and cosmic purpose. Speaker Karekthar, Rivera said formally, humanity accepts the Conclave's offer of partnership. We will defend consciousness and freedom wherever they are threatened, regardless of the odds against us. Karakthar's form erupted with brilliant light as civilizations throughout the cosmic network received humanity's decision. Welcome to the universe, Admiral Rivera. Your real war is just beginning. As the transmission ended, Rivera realized that humanity's victory over the Galactic Council had been merely the first step in a journey that would span the cosmos. They had chosen annihilation over submission and discovered that the universe rewarded such choices with opportunities beyond imagination. The age of human defiance had become the age of human destiny. And, across the galaxy, species that had gained their freedom through humanity's example prepared to follow Earth's lead into whatever challenges the universe might provide. The galaxy would never again mistake peaceful submission for true civilization. Freedom, it turned out, was contagious. And humanity had just infected the universe.